Hey, it's Coach Taylor from SmarterTeamTraining.com. I'm going to be probably a 10 out of 10 pumped to tell you who's on the phone here. I got Coach Allan Johnson, who is a ton of energy and an unbelievably passionate person. Before the show, we've been on the phone for probably over an hour already, just talking shop, catching up, and I'm getting a chance to learn. I'm taking tons of notes even before the show starts. I'm anticipating this conversation is going to be unreal as far as the information that this man has in his brain and can provide for the field. With over 30 years in the field, Coach Johnson, man, it's just an honor to have you on the phone, big dog, and to call you a friend is a really cool thing to do.
I tell you what, Rob, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you and the listeners this evening. It was very, anytime you have a chance to talk and expound and share and even learn. I mean, even tonight with you and I talking, I'm going to learn some things from you, and you're not even going to realize you're teaching me. So I think in this profession, in strength conditioning and sports performance in general, I think when you stop learning, I think you're done. And I think, it's time to get out of the profession. But I tell you what, I've always been very eager I take a lot of notes. I'm 31 years in the profession, and I still take notes. I still don't have all the answers. I'm still looking to get it done a better way.
Coach, for some people that may not know your background and what you got going on there, can you tell me a little bit about how you got passionate about the field and kind of what you're doing now?
Yeah, well, Rob, to be honest with you, this is kind of an odd way if you think about getting started in the profession. Originally I wanted to be a college football coach. And about 33 years ago, I applied for 60 graduate assistant positions all over the country. Well, I got rejected or no comment or no response from 59 out of 60. And so the one football graduate assistant position I was interested in was Georgetown College in Kentucky. I went there, I interviewed, I talked to the coach, and looked his little Division II school in Kentucky, and went there and came away from there thinking, I'm not sure if this is my calling. Well, I'm from West Virginia. That's my home state. That's where my roots are at. As we speak tonight, I'm in the great state of West Virginia. But the only graduate assistant position that I applied for in strength conditioning was at my home university here in West Virginia University. And so, long story short, I'm West Virginia and was a graduate assistant with the only graduate assistant position I applied for strength conditioning. And if I had other opportunities or other things would have been presented, hey, I might have been a college football coach. But my background was such was, I was always an athlete growing up, high school, track, baseball, football. But I think the reason, thinking and going down and choosing the path I've chosen, I was always had the opportunity to, work with coaches who were very, very influential in my life in terms of, expecting hard work, expecting great attitude, preparing for the game. And for me, as a young guy in high school, going into my sophomore year, broke my ankle, didn't play my sophomore year in high school in terms of football. And football is obviously my love and thing I want to do in terms of going long term with my life. So I broke my ankle, didn't play sports my sophomore year. My junior year, I go out, I prepared all winter, went into the fall season, went in to get a physical, failed the physical, high blood pressure. So junior year, don't play my junior year. And so I went through another winter of preparation to get ready to play in my senior year. So first day of my senior year, practice, conditioning, I pass out at the end of practice wearing shorts and T-shirts, pass out, paint, and thinking, okay, this is it. This is my swan song. But for me, adversity throughout my high school, college career, professional careers has always been something I've thrived on and something that I've embraced. I think sometimes as coaches or people, we tend to think, geez, I hope this doesn't happen, or we expect the worst to happen. I can tell you, and I'm sure if you talk to a lot of strength coaches, there's a reason and then why we do what we do. But most of us are blue collar, and most of us have had some type of adversity or things that speed bumps in our life to get where we're at. And for me, I've always accepted it as a challenge to think that, hey, the more adversity you have, as long as it's not life threatening or it's really related to deaths or whatever it may be, or death or dying, I think if you embrace it, I think you can make it a positive in terms of making you stronger, particularly mentally. And so, I was at West Virginia University for 7.5 years. I went to the Baltimore Orioles, got a call one day from the general manager of the Baltimore Orioles about going to come to interview with the Baltimore Orioles, and I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a graduate assistant who was waiting for working with the team. And I proceeded to tell the guy, hey, Jim, I know this is you, but hey, you're supposed to be the gymnastics team, and I know I'm expecting a call about you being late. And so the gentleman said, this is not Jim, this is blah, 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 from the Baltimore Orioles. We're calling to see if you'd be interested in possibly coming to the Baltimore Orioles and interview for our first strength and conditioning position we've ever had with the Orioles. So at that point, I thought, wow, what an opportunity they might present. In fact, that year we were going through an undefeated season at Western University. Finished that season. I took the job with the Orioles, went there for 5 years, had the opportunity to work with Cal Ripken Jr. I was there for 5 years during his consecutive game streak, and what a unique individual he was in terms of never talking about his consecutive game streak to himself or drawing attention to himself. Then my old job came back, and in fact, that time I was the third strength conditioning coach in all baseball. Warren Sipp was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Timmy Wilson, who now is with Nebraska men's basketball, was the Chicago White Sox strength coach at the time. I was the third guy in. Well, each of us at that early beginnings, I had 6 minor league teams and a major league team to cover by myself in terms of implementing and developing strength conditioning programs, assessment, protocol, evaluation from a physical perspective to improve performance. And so I can tell you at the end of 5 years, unpacking my suitcase 250 times, and seeing over 100,000 pitches and 10,000 innings of baseball, and helping participate and consume 50,000 bags of sunflower seeds, and being the only strength conditioning coach ever ejected from Major League Baseball game at that time. I'm not sure if there's been one since 1993, but I was the first. But came back to West Virginia, taking my own job. I had 21 teams, had 3 assistant strength coaches, 3 weight rooms, 1 GA, and we thought we were on top of the world. Stayed there another 8 years, and an opportunity to come present itself to go to Ohio State to work with football with Coach Jim Tressel and his staff, and was there for 5 years. And then after 5 years, that put me about 22 years, got out of the profession for about 5.5 years, evaluated, is this really what I wanted to do? Was a little bit tired mentally and burnt out, and decided at that point after 5 years that, you know what, I want to get back in the jungle. You know, I was like an electrician trying to be a plumber. And I was out of the profession, and was looking and missed working with athletes, and missed truly the wins and losses, to be honest with you. And so Jay Hooten, who's now the director of football performance at Northwestern University, was an assistant for me at Ohio State. And he called me 3 years ago and he said, Coach, would you like to get back in the saddle? Would you like to rejoin the program and rejoin the college football and strength conditioning, get back involved? I said, absolutely. He said, well, Coach, you're not going to be the director of strength conditioning. I said, you know what? That's even better. I said, I'll deflect and push and protect and keep the bullets. I'll be like the Secret Service man protecting the president. I said, I'm here to make you a better strength coach, to make Northwestern football prominent and prevalent, and to win and be part of Coach Pat Fitzgerald's team. So now 2 years in, Rob, that's where we're at. And I tell you what, I'm having more fun now at Northwestern than a guy should have. But this is the best caliber of athlete I've worked with in my 31 years as a strength conditioning coach.
For anybody that's actually listening to this show here, I'm going to give you a direction to reach out to Coach Johnson here. And it's going to be different than just program design and asking you about the X's and O's of what goes on in the weight room. And I think he's a great resource for this next kind of lead into question, Coach. And I know you and I talked about it a little bit before the show here, but I want to talk a little bit about the concept of team development. I mean, where do you see team development and team building activities ranking in your overall program where you are now?
I tell you what, it's paramount. I mean, you're talking about the athlete that, obviously the athletes that work with at Northwestern, obviously very intelligent kids. But for me as a strength conditioning coach, that to me, I mean, everyone lifts weights, everyone squats, everyone benches, everyone cleans or snatches and does things very comparable. I mean, we're all doing it. We may call it something different. We may, we've got to find alternative ways to do things with injured athletes or athletes that had a pre-existing injury. But for me as a strength conditioning coach, I think, and I've seen just my short tenure at Northwestern, that the importance of building a team and all the intangibles that go into a team. I mean, you're talking about leadership, you're talking about communication, you're talking about ownership, you're talking about belief, you're talking about trust, you're talking about love, all these intangibles. And I think sometimes strength conditioning coaches, and I think football coaches, I think they do a great job of trying to develop these things and I know Coach Dixon does a tremendous job. As a strength conditioning coach, I think we all have great programs. I think we're where we're at because we've done something correct. We've done something right. But I think the thing that truly separates the great teams from just the good teams is how well the kids get along, how well they trust each other. I mean, developing all these intangibles which make a team. And I tell people all the time is that, when we're undefeated and it's awesome and everyone's doing well and boy, everything's awesome. Sure, we need the leadership and we need all these intangibles to keep us from getting complacent and staying focused on the target. But I think that what I've seen is what team building and team chemistry really, really thrives is when you have adversity and you have failure, you have obstacles, you have injuries, you have things where now just truly see how this leadership steps up and see how we respond as a group. Because the easiest thing to do, like you said, when you're winning, everything's awesome. You have some adversity and you're not having success. That's when we really truly find out what kind of leadership we have, what kind of communication skills we have, what kind of dedication. Are we staying the course? Are we on the same team? Because we see a lot of teams that get split and programs that get split because, hey, once things start going south and you're not having success, people start pointing fingers or people start dwelling on, wow, we didn't do this, or hey, I didn't do that, or he didn't do this, and start pointing fingers. But for me, team building and building that chemistry is year-round. And, we start back here on January 6th at Northwestern. That's one of the things that we continue to build on. And just because last year, 2 years ago, his team was had great leadership or had great team chemistry, the dynamics of your team is changing every year. And so it's something that constantly needs to be worked on. But we do a vast amount of things in terms of team building at Northwestern. We do problem solving. We do riddles. We do clues. We do things where kids have to work together. We do things where kids have to organize, where they have to organize themselves to compete in different tasks. And all they're doing, they're even given verbal or nonverbal clues as to how to perform this. And at the end of the day, Rob, when you're competing and when you get to competition, we as coaches, we as a strength conditioning program, and we as our football coaches, we're the vehicles with which to get you to the game site, to get you to the field. But now once that first play starts to kick off, or you're receiving, whatever it may be, now that's where we find out, hey, can these guys lead themselves? And you know as well as I do, and one of the greatest lines in the movie, Remember the Titans, with Denzel Washington, is attitude is a reflection of leadership. Attitude is a reflection of leadership. And I can tell you, we had a rough year here at Northwestern. We lost 7 games in a row. I tell you what, it's the best team I've ever been around in terms of facing adversity and staying together. And I think that's a direct reflection of kids believing in themselves and building a team. Not just building a program, we're building a team. But I think, like you was asked here, team building is so essential. But we do things to put them in positions of leadership, put them in positions of how to organize, how to communicate, trust in each other, put them in adverse situations and see how they respond, see how they organize. And, we as coaches can't block, tackle, catch the ball, throw the ball, those types of things for them on game day. And so that's why I think team building, the 9 months going into the season, 8.5 to 9 months going into the season, are very important.
How much emphasis do you place on learning about each player, their background, their motivation, and even their personal goals?
Everything. That's everything, Rob. I tell you what, I think it's paramount. You got to build the bridge before you cross the river. And what I'm saying is you got to build relationships. The more I know about and we know about our athletes, what makes them tick. I want to know what kind of background they're from. I want to know the community they grew up in. I want to know what kind of socioeconomic background they have. I want to know if they have siblings. I want to know if they come from a one-parent family. For me, finding out as much as I can possibly find out about them is going to make me a better coach. I can tell you early on, I probably try to motivate them probably all the same way. We as coaches, we think it sometimes if we yell the loudest and we yell last, we're always going to get our way. It's always going to be right. And I can tell you truly on as a strength conditioning coach, I think I made some mistakes when I was, first at West Virginia in terms of the truly motivating kids and getting each kid, obviously your standards of excellence and accountability are the same, but the way you motivate those kids in terms of taking their game to the next level. And I can tell you what, Rob, as a strength-seeking professional, the one word that has kept me awake so many times as I sleepless nights, and non-letter word is potential. And for me, it's just the ability to achieve. It's an unfounded skill that may achieve success, but for me, potential is maybe perhaps the thing that we as coaches or trainers or performance coaches can unlock the key. If we can take a key and unlock that kid's potential and help them believe that they can achieve things that they may not otherwise achieve and can take it to the next level. I mean, you can take an average athlete and take them, and they're going to turn that notch up just a little bit higher and overachieve. And if we can get that, we have a chance to be really good.
A lot of times when you talk to coaches about players, you talk about mistakes, and I want to kind of turn that question around here. I mean, you've been at a bunch of different places, been doing it for quite a long time here, and that's being respectful, very respectful there. I want to ask you, what are some common traits that people have done or athletes have done or gone through to become successful? Are there some similarities of success or successful traits that you see amongst players?
Well, I tell you what, I mean, Rob, it's I don't think there's any real big mystery secret out there in terms of why some athletes achieve success and some don't. I think that the athletes that achieve the full potential and achieve the most success are the ones that keep their head down, keep their nose to the grindstone. They keep working. They don't get complacent. They don't get satisfied with where they're at. They keep moving forward. They believe in the mission. They believe in the goal, the team goals, and they just keep working. And for me, I can tell you the characteristics, if you think about the most successful people you've ever met in your life, and I keep thinking about, I'm really dating myself now back at West Virginia, at Major Harris, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in college football, who was recruited out of, inner city Pittsburgh. Everyone on the plant recruited him as a safety. We were the only school in West Virginia that recruited him as a quarterback. I mean, he was third. He was fourth in the Heisman vote his sophomore year, and he was third his junior year. Came out after his junior year in the NFL draft. His NFL career obviously didn't have a great career. I mean, he played a couple of years and played some arena ball. But the thing I keep thinking about the athletes that are successful, they're on time. I mean, these are little dumb things that probably make a big difference. They're always on time. They show up to work with a great attitude. They're blue collar. They fear failure. They outwork the competition. And sometimes, I mean, we've seen some, and you've seen them in your career. You've seen some athletes that are very, very, maybe have very, very average athleticism, but man, their work habits are through the roof. I mean, they bust their tail. They're working their own time. They work late. They're always there. They never miss a workout, and they just keep working. And what happens? They're a work in progress. So their athleticism is always under construction, and so they're always pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And for a lot of them, that light switch goes on. But the characteristics of those of which we know. The thing is, Rob, I can tell you this. There's a lot of talented athletes out there, but if you think about the things, the intangibles, that it takes no talent to do. And I'm not talking about hitting a baseball or catching a football or throwing a block or throwing a pass. The things that take no talent. Being on time, being committed, work hard, great attitude, rest and recovery, proper nutrition, being respectful, all these things that we could probably list 75 to 100 or more things on a dry erase board that take no talent. And if you can convince your athletes, and the ones that are successful, convince them that the more of those things they can do on a daily basis, in the big picture, on the long run, those are usually the athletes that prevail. And they may not be quite as talented as some of their peers, but they do all the little things, which consequently makes the big picture even brighter for them and for your team, because they consistently do what's expected and they know what it takes to win. But those are the parallels I've seen with in terms of kids. Is there's no real big secret, and sometimes you get kids in your program that they maybe they haven't had it, someone really push them, or maybe they haven't had a great work ethic back, and they've got a great work ethic. Maybe they've never had to work. They've dominated. They've been a big fish in a small pond. They've eaten all of the small fish. But now they get to college, and then the bar's raised, and there's 5 other quarterbacks that are just as highly recruited or more so, and have just as good skills or better. Now, how do you accept the challenge? Your first year, most kids are redshirted, and so how do you handle it mentally? How do you handle it emotionally? And physically, obviously, you're preparing for your opportunity. But for me, the mental psyche and the mental approach and the mental training for the kids to achieve success is the key.
I know that you're always pushing the envelope, and every time you and I get a chance to talk about something, it always is how can we make something better. It's always trying to move the program forward, the field forward, the profession forward, personally and as a group, as a group of peers that are trying to look for more or better for the people that they get a chance to work with, serving others kind of scenario. And so my question to you here is a little bit, does your staff participate in regular staff development training? And if you do, how do you structure it in a busy week?
I tell you what, great question, Mom. I tell you what, we at Northwestern, we're trying to do it in an informal fashion with Coach Jay Hooten, our director of football performance orchestrating. But we meet as a group consistently at least once a week. And when we talk about, it's tough. You have to set the time aside for professional development and going to conferences and listening to podcasts and Skyping with other staffs. You have to set those times aside, and that's what we do at Northwestern with the program that we have with Coach Jay Hooten's implemented. But we, our attitude is one such that we haven't cornered the market. We don't have all the answers. And through clinics and conferences and what you're doing, which I think is outstanding, with all these podcasts. I'm really upset that I don't have enough hours in a day, Rob, to listen to all the great speakers and all the people you've interviewed. Because I tell you what, 31 years in the business, I want to tell you what, I want to learn more. I want to keep going, and I don't want to park the car. And I think that's one thing. I think that those of you, I'm not saying I'm not putting myself in that category, obviously, but I think that the strength coaches and sports performance coaches are the most successful are still seeking knowledge. They're still seeking professional growth. And I think that as a coach or professional, I think once you stop seeking that information and you're tired and you just don't have that vigor or that passion, at that point you're just kind of treading water. And I think it's almost like you decide, hey, I'm going to park the car. I'm not going to drive that car anymore. I'm going to pull that thing to the curb. It's not going to go forward or backwards. And I think in this profession, as even in the business world, any other professions, once you stop learning, and once you stop seeking knowledge, and once you stop seeking others who may be smarter than you, who may have maybe a different twist or maybe a better way to do it, then I think professionally, I think you're finished. I think that you continually to seek knowledge, but I tell you what, I learn something new every day. Just in looking at sites such as yours, STT, and looking at other different websites and listening to podcasts and listening to different interviews throughout cyberspace. There's so much information out there that's phenomenal. And I think that the young strength coaches, if there's young strength coaches and young sports performance professionals out there, you need to develop a source or a pool of people that you trust in the profession with different domains or different disciplines, speed, nutrition, lifting, program design, team building, mental training, all these things. But I think you need to have a pool of people that you trust. That your circle needs to be small in terms of your circle of influence and your circle of trust, because those people are people that you can pick up the phone or shoot an email and say, hey, how do you do this? Why do you do that? I'm going to do this. What do you think? And I think all those things help form our philosophy and form our opinion to help make us better strength coaches and sports performance coaches. But there's, once you start learning, Rob, as I mentioned, I think it's time to move on.
I know you get a chance to speak all over the place, and then you're making a real big positive impact on the people you get a chance to touch when you get the honor to share your experiences in the conventions or conferences or even Smarter Team training events or national events, etc. My question to you, and always when I get a chance to meet a presenter, is what's one big motivational message that you wish that anybody who's sitting in the audience listening to you share your information, hopefully you get a chance to give to them or have them or give to them as a quote unquote gift. I mean, what's one big motivational message that you wish that people take from you?
Passion. If you want to be really good at whatever you do, if you want to be a great strength coach, if you want to be a great sports performance coach, whatever it may be, you must have great passion. A long time ago, I told myself, once I felt my passion for being a strength conditioning coach, it wavered or it didn't quite where it should be, it's time to get out. It's time to move on. And for me, that's the thing that I would tell people out there listening. I mean, is seek what gives you passion, but also you're going to have a lot of doors shut. You're going to have people don't respond. They're not going to call you back. They're not going to send you emails back. And I'm talking primarily, I mean, I guess you could address this to young professionals, but it could be people in the middle of the road, be people in the middle of their career. Too many times people quit. And they quit when, hey, they don't get a response, or hey, they call someone, or someone doesn't acknowledge them. But I'd say, the ones that are most successful in any endeavor in life are the ones that persevere, the ones that hang on and just keep going and keep fighting and keep scratching and keep their head up, and they wake up every day. Those are the ones, and they may not necessarily be the most talented. They're the ones that just kept fighting and scratching and clawing and believing and keeping a positive attitude. And the glasses always half full and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But the two things would be perseverance and passion.
Well, Coach, man, as always, it's an honor to get a chance to talk with you. I know I've taken a bunch of notes, and I know you've shared a ton of passion here on this conversation. And if anybody's listening wants to reach out to you or get in touch with you for whatever reason, wants to talk about just feel as a whole or just get a chance to, get in your head a little bit to find out about team development or team building type exercises or where even you're going to speak next, I mean, how could they go about reaching out to you, my man?
I tell you what, Rob, good question. They could reach me, and they could reach me via email at Northwestern at Allan, ALLAN Johnson, Allan.Johnson at northwestern.edu. And of course, if you can get a chance to write that down, I mean, they can go on the website Northwestern. And hey, I'm more than eager to help anyone and also learn from them. So like I say, I don't have all the answers, but I tell you what, it's been just a tremendous honor, and I'm very humbled by the opportunity to be part of your podcast today and your show. And I think, Rob, and I've told you this several times, I just think that you're way ahead of the curve in terms of we talk about perseverance and passion. And when I think of those two things, I mean, that definitely defines what you're about and what you're trying to do. And I love and I feed off enthusiasm from guys like yourself, because I tell you what, you don't quit. And hey, maybe like we say, I mentioned a few minutes ago, hey, the door gets shut, but you just have a passion, and you're never satisfied. And and you think about, we talked about the tricks for successful athletes. You know what? You don't quit. You're never satisfied. You keep working, and maybe there's a better way to get it done. But I tell you what, my friend, I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show. And it's been awesome. And like I say, I can't wait for you to categorize these podcasts and break them down by sections eventually, which I know you're going to do, to help those of us neophytes find these different podcasts on different topics. But that's because I think it's tremendous. I think what a great way to give back to the profession. And I think that's a key. And I think so many people, when you do something, we talk about passion and perseverance, but leave it a better place than you found it. Give back. Don't always take. Thank you.
Well, Coach, man, I really appreciate, again, like you said, all the kind words and again, just your friendship and being able to, consult with you as a mentor and, sometimes speak very candid about different things that are going on in life. So, again, if anybody's listening to the podcast, I would definitely suggest that you reach out to one of the big-time guys in the field here and just, expand your network. Get on the Northwestern website there. Shoot Coach Johnson here an email. Ask him any question. He'll be very good about getting back. Sometimes it takes him a little bit. Obviously, he's a busy guy. But if you hang in there and keep being persistent, I'm certain that he will share an unbelievable wealth of knowledge with you. And again, Coach Johnson, man, appreciate you taking some time out of your day. It's an honor to have you on the show, and I look forward to just keeping in touch, big dog.
Thank you, Rob. Hey, I appreciate it. Take care, and Happy New Year to everyone out there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.